Welcome, dear listeners, to another chilling episode of Wicked Whispers, where the shadows come alive and nightmares whisper their secrets. In the quiet London suburb of Enfield, the late 1970s became a time of unimaginable terror for the Hodgson family. What began as innocent disturbances soon escalated into a full-blown supernatural siege, capturing the world's attention. This is the chilling tale of the Enfield Poltergeist, a haunting beyond belief. It all started in August 1977, when single mother Peggy Hodgson and her 4 children, Margaret, Janet, Johnny, and Billy, began experiencing strange occurrences in their council house at 284 Green Street. The first signs were subtle: knocks on the walls, furniture moving on its own, and odd noises in the night. Peggy dismissed these as the creaks and groans of an old house. But on the night of August 30th, everything changed. That evening, Janet and Johnny were in their bedroom when they heard shuffling sounds. The chest of drawers began to move, seemingly of its own accord. Peggy entered the room to find the chest blocking the door. She pushed it back, but it moved again, as if an invisible force was at work. Terrified, Peggy called her neighbors, Vic and Peggy Nottingham, for help. The Nottinghams also witnessed the phenomena and advised Peggy to call the police. When WPC Carolyn Heaps arrived, she too witnessed something inexplicable. She saw a chair move across the floor without anyone touching it. Although baffled, the police could do little and left, noting the strange event in their report. As the haunting continued, the Hodgsons' plight caught the attention of the press. Reporters from the Daily Mirror arrived, eager for a sensational story. They got more than they bargained for. Photographer Graham Morris captured images of Janet seemingly being thrown from her bed by an unseen force. These photos would become iconic in the annals of paranormal history. Word of the haunting also reached the Society for Psychical Research, SPR, and soon, paranormal investigators Maurice Grosse and Guy Lyon Playfair arrived at the Hodgson home. Skeptical at first, they were quickly convinced by the sheer volume and intensity of the phenomena. The haunting grew more violent. Furniture would flip over, objects would be thrown across rooms, and strange voices would emanate from the walls. Janet, the focus of much of the activity, would often enter trance-like states, speaking in a gruff, unnatural voice. In one particularly chilling incident, Janet was seen levitating, hovering above her bed as if lifted by invisible hands. Witnesses, including neighbors, journalists, and even a crossing guard, attested to seeing her float across the room. One of the most unsettling aspects of the Enfield Poltergeist was the voice that seemed to emanate from Janet. This voice, claiming to be Bill Wilkins, a former resident who had died in the house, would speak in a deep, gravelly tone. Maurice Grosse recorded hours of these conversations, during which the voice revealed details about Bill's life and death that Janet could not have known. Bill's voice would say, "Just before I died, I went blind, and then I had a hemorrhage and I fell asleep and died in the chair in the corner downstairs." These details were later corroborated by Bill Wilkins' son. Despite the overwhelming evidence, the Enfield case attracted skeptics. Some believed the phenomena were elaborate hoaxes orchestrated by the children. Skeptics pointed to instances where Janet and her siblings were caught bending spoons or faking levitations. However, Maurice Grosse and Guy Lyon Playfair maintained that while some incidents may have been fabricated, the majority of the occurrences could not be easily explained. Over the next 18 months, the Hodgson family endured relentless paranormal activity. Objects continued to move, and the mysterious voice persisted. The family grew exhausted and frightened, their lives turned upside down by the haunting. The Enfield Poltergeist case also attracted the attention of famous American paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. Although their involvement was limited compared to Gross and Playfair, they visited the Hodgson home and later declared it one of the most significant cases of paranormal activity they had encountered. By the end of 1978, the intensity of the haunting began to wane. The phenomena became less frequent, and the Hodgsons could finally start to rebuild their lives. However, the impact of those harrowing months lingered. Janet, in particular, was deeply affected by the experiences. In interviews years later, Janet described how the haunting had shaped her life. Despite the skepticism and accusations of fraud, she maintained that the events were real and that she and her family had lived through a genuine nightmare. The Enfield Poltergeist remains one of the most documented and debated hauntings in history. It has inspired books, documentaries, and films, including the popular horror movie, The Conjuring 2. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, the story of the Hodgson family and their terrifying ordeal continues to captivate and mystify. As we conclude this harrowing tale, we leave you with a warning. If you ever find yourself in a house where the air grows cold and unseen eyes seem to watch your every move, trust your instincts and proceed with caution. The world of the supernatural is a realm of mystery and terror, where the living and the dead can collide in the most terrifying ways. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. If you found this episode of Wicked Whispers intriguing, don't forget to like, subscribe,